We've still got record student loan debt, record car debt, record credit card debt. Again, that's got to do with the emotional maturity of the individual, the ability to say no to me, called self-discipline, in a culture that's got a magic wand in their hand that they can just buy anything anytime they want to buy it, answer any question they want to answer, and they live in a world of magic. And it's like going to be magic that my debt's going to go away. No, it's not. You're going to end up paying the piper. So I'm just a free market guy. I'm a capitalist pig. And I read Adam Smith when I was in college, and I believe in the free market. It tends to discard the dead wood. When we in business don't do a good job, we go out of business. A restaurant that cooks really bad food and is late and cold, it goes out of business, and it should. The market punishes you. You don't have to have a regulation to do it. And if you got a restaurant that's the opposite of that, and the food is hot and wonderful, and it's well-priced and all that kind of stuff, there's a line around the block, and everybody knows those stories. So the marketplace will correct itself if you'll leave it alone. So the first thing that, if I could wave any magic wands, I would remove a lot of regulation, and a lot of regulatory people would have to get other jobs. I'm not saying there doesn't need to be any regulation, but we've got at least 100% too much. There may be some truth to that. Paul Krugman, would be a Keynesian economist. He would be John Maynard Keynes helped Roosevelt introduce the New Deal, and Keynesian economics has become, out of the college classroom, the standard. But basically, it's socialism, or it's the edges of socialism. It's a very big government, a very intrusive government, a government that controls a lot of things, including money supply and those kinds of things, to way too great an extent. I don't believe that the debt is good, but I also don't believe that we're on the precipice of all going into the zombie apocalypse either. A lot of people in the financial world have predicted the end of the world for a long time. It would take more discipline than we have, the ability to accept and hear the ancient word no, because we've become so accustomed to government providing us anything and everything, including protection, including medicine, including things that are vital, that we love. There's two sides to the equation. In business, you cannot cut enough expenses to become profitable.
You need revenue.
You have to increase your revenue. And so you need a new product line. You need something that raises that. So you're talking about raising taxes? No, I'm talking about increasing the amount of tax dollars coming in. People get clouded by politics, so they have never really actually looked at the data. But the data says, the actual data of what has actually occurred at the federal government level, that Art Laffer was right with the Laffer Curve. And the Laffer Curve is simply this, that to a certain point, lowering taxes stimulates so much of the economy that it raises the amount of revenue, the amount of tax dollars that come in. If you let people keep more of their money, it stimulates the economy, and it stimulates the people like me to go make more money, and therefore I pay, even at a lower tax rate, I pay more in tax dollars because, say, you cut my tax rate 10%, but my income doubled. Okay, then that raises revenue. You lower taxes, remove regulations, get the economy booming and heated up, and the tax revenues go way up, and then you've got to cut the crud out of this. And the problem is a high percentage of our federal dollar now goes to pay interest on the debt. So that comes back to the debt question.
Just like a consumer.
You got to get rid of the debt to get rid of the interest to be able to have room to do some of the social things that are in the federal government. But this spending is just, there is no discipline on it whatsoever. No one on either party ever says no. Think about what happens with an individual, okay? An individual that goes through the baby steps in somewhere around 7 to 10 years is debt-free house and everything, and their income goes up during that time, and they become millionaires somewhere around that 12, 14-year mark on average, okay? So what did they do? They followed the baby steps. They got out of debt. They lived on less than they make. Now, if more individuals did that, would the economy collapse? Well, the Twitter or Instagram or Reddit thread crap says, well, the economy is dependent upon borrowed money. It's actually not. It's dependent upon the consumer spending. The consumer spends more when they borrow more, But the consumer also spends more when they don't have any debt and they have more money. So Sharon and I, when we became multi-millionaires, we didn't quit spending. We spend more because we have more. When people get out of debt, they don't stop spending. And they don't spend less than they did when they were in debt, using debt. Somebody that's got $10 million spends money. And so that drives the economy. The difference is that the economy would be much more stable. It's destabilized by all the consumer debt because the consumer's deep in debt, and then you add some other things to the mix, like a Biden inflationary situation, 10% inflation, 9.7% inflation, $5 gasoline. You put some stuff in there like that for the consumer. Oh, let's talk about interest rates on houses. Let's talk about house prices going up. See, when you put any of those things in the mix with people who are already locked in, they don't have any more room to spend. Now you slow the economy down because the consumer has to slow spending down because their disposable income's gone. Well, disposable income goes up when you're debt-free. It doesn't go down. Now, I tell you what it would be bad for. It'd be bad for banks. It'd be bad for Visa.
The lenders wouldn't have the big buildings downtown. They can't sponsor
It
the
would
Taylor
be bad
Swift
for
tour,
it'd be bad for the car companies because they make more money on the debt than they do on the cars. They'd actually have to start making a profit on the car, not on the debt on the car. And so all these things that are debt-based, it'd be really bad for them.
The whole debt industry would go down.
Anything having to do with debt, would go away because, if they were dependent on people like me, they don't get any money. I haven't given any interest to anybody in 35 years. I mean, it's not unwise to have a concern about it because policy does matter. If you affect taxes like we're talking about, it matters in the marketplace. If you affect regulation, it matters in the marketplace. If jobs are the result of that, there's a lot of things to be concerned about. The problem is that the candidate and the news media have convinced people that 90% of their future success is based on the candidate, and the 90% of the individual success is based on the individual. 10% is based on the candidate. Now, I paid less taxes under Trump, so that's a good thing for me, right? You paid less taxes under Trump than I did under either one of the Democrats, and so that's something to look at. But I didn't go broke because of Biden or Obama. I didn't slow the business growth down because of Biden or Obama. I have made profit and made progress in the business under every administration, and it had nothing to do with them. It had to do with the economy in general, which they don't control, any more than they control the weather. And it had to do with me and this leadership team here at Ramsey and how hard, George and Rachel and Deloney and Coleman work, right, and Jade. I mean, it had to do with us going out killing something, dragging it home, right? And so that's the thing that gets off in people's minds is if you're concerned about it past 10% of your life, then you're too concerned. It's more of a hobby for me. I like watching it, the drama of it's funny, the crazy stuff they say and the stuff they just make up. It's just not even true, these different places. And there's not an economy as strong or a set of freedoms, even though there's a lot of stuff I'd love to see America do. I'd love to see the United States change. But, I mean, there's not people that expat and they go to Costa Rica or Bahamas or something. I mean, Costa Rica is beautiful, and it's very inexpensive to live there. But there's a reason, because there ain't nothing there. You're pretty much dumbed down to gym shorts and sandals, so you better stick with that. And Sharon and I want to do some other things. We want to see the grandbabies. We want to enjoy some of the creature comforts of life, and we like the electricity to come on when we flip the switch. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't in some of these countries. These places are wonderful to visit, and I enjoy the different cultures and the different people, and it's one of the reasons we travel. But I've yet to find an economic system that is even 1/10 as appealing as this one anywhere that would tempt me to go running over there based on who's elected I'm leaving. We've still got record student loan debt, record car debt, record credit card debt. Again, that's got to do with the emotional maturity of the individual, the ability to say no to me, called self-discipline, in a culture that's got a magic wand in their hand that they can just buy anything anytime they want to buy it, answer any question they want to answer. And they live in a world of magic. And it's like going to be magic that my debt's going to go away. No, it's not. You're going to end up paying the piper. No, it's not. I don't think it's generational. Every generation I've ministered to, every generation I've worked with has had a group of people that refuse to say no to themselves. They live for the moment, and they live like children. And there's people my age that do it right now, and I'm in my 60s. I mean, it's not like this one generation is like suddenly invented immaturity or suddenly invented the lack of discipline. But no, there's always been a group of people that will do what it takes to go win. They'll live like no one else, so later they'll live and give like no one else. They grow up, they're adults. The ability to delay pleasure is a sign of emotional, psychological, and spiritual maturity. And there's a group of people that will do that or come to the conclusion that that's the best way to live, and then they'll do that. And there's always a group of people that they don't think the rules apply to them of life. And I can just spend whatever I want to spend, just like the government, and I don't have to say no to me. And how dare you suggest, and you've lost context because you're old or some other bull crap. I didn't lose context. You lost context. You lost the ability to do mathematics. And so, when you spend more than you make, it's not a sustainable situation. What really gives me hope is not that those folks are getting out of debt or getting control of their money, although they are, en masse, a lot of them. But the other thing that happens is it's almost impossible to do that, to get control of your money without becoming a better person while you're doing it.
There's a personal growth that
End up
happens.
becoming a better dad, a better mom, a better husband, a better wife. They lose weight. Discipline begets discipline, and they start serving. They become other-centered rather than self-centered. Their generosity factor goes up. There's a whole thing that happens, and you can't just fix one tiny little area of your life or destroy one tiny little area of your life without it impacting all the other things that it's touching. And what's so beautiful about these financial transformations is they mean life transformation. And so the sociological impact of some of the stuff that you and I are doing is
It's not just math.
It becomes real ripple effect generationally down in the quality and the functionality of that family increases. The stress level in the marriage goes down. The likelihood the couple's going to stay together, and therefore the kids have two parents in the house, all because they started on this money thing, but you can't fix it without fixing you. This world is always going to be immature. This world's always going to be quick fix, get rich quick. This world's always going to be looking for a shortcut, looking for the easy way out. I want to be on easy street without doing the hard work. Don't be conformed to that. Look around you. Do you want to really be like the people you see? No, they're freaks, man. Normal is whacked. You don't want to be normal. So be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. New information, like watching this show, coming into your mind, and you go, I may need to do something different. Negative net worth. The bottom line is your income doesn't determine wealth. Because if you make $200,000 a year and you owe $300,000 on your cars and your student loans and your other stuff, and you can barely pay your bills, you're broke. You just make a lot of money and you're a broke person. Traction shows up financially in net worth. That's when debt goes down and assets go up. And that's where we see, that's how we know you're starting to actually win with money. You start to see that. And as you do that, then margin comes. And when you're not broke, you have that income coming in, and there's more and more and more of that income available to you to do future investing, to do generosity, to think longer term than just, oh God, I got to pay a bill. Oh God, look at this, I'm overwhelmed. Oh God, I got to pay a bill happens at $500,000 a year, $200,000 a year, $100,000 a year, $40,000 a year. And I live on less than I make happens at all those same numbers too. And living on less than you make gives you that margin. You begin to clear the debt down, and the assets build up. So the 401k starts to grow. Debt goes away. Even later, the mortgage goes away. And that spread becomes $1 million, and that's your first $1 million net worth. Then you know you're starting to win. But these people are walking around looking like they're rich. Most of them aren't. I mean, they got a Louis Vuitton, a car lease, and Sally Mae's got her own bedroom. I mean, they're broke, and stressed, because it takes a lot of work to hold up an appearance that's not true. Living a lie, is that what you call it? Yeah, That's what it is. Another way of looking at it is, do you have a net worth that, you've got the margin, so you've got some sustainability. And, you start heading towards $1 million net worth, you start to really build some real sustainability. You're debt-free, you start to build some sustainability. So think about when you go into retirement, and you're in your late 60s, early 70s, and you either have a mortgage or you don't, That's wealth. You either have some money in your 401k, $500,000, million, something in there. You've been putting money in that 401k. If you did those two things, if you got $600,000 or $800,000 in your 401k, I mean, that's $60,000, $80,000 a year income for the rest of your life, and you don't have a mortgage or any other debt. You've set your life up in such a way that is wealthy. Versus the same exact person making the exact income living next door has a boat payment, 2 Sea-Doo payments, a payment on the vacation home that they had to buy to look like they could afford it, and they couldn't. They've still got a mortgage, and they're 60, 70 years old. But they live next door to this other guy who's 100% debt-free and got, 8 or 900K in his 401k. And over here, I got zip in my retirement, a lot of debts, and a lot of stuff sitting around looking at me, screaming at me how stupid I've been. Well, if wealth is your God, you'll never have enough. That's the golden calf. I mean, it's an idol. And so if you think you're going to get contentment surely from enough money, you'll never get enough money. That's the thing. So it comes with this combination of spiritual maturity and looking around and going, it's okay if Sharon gets a nice purse, but if we're buying it for other people to see it, what are we, 14? I mean, we're old people. We shouldn't be buying a purse for other people to see, or a car for other people to see. I got a nice car, but I didn't buy it for anybody except because I wanted to drive it. And that's contentment. That there's no need to keep the other people happy at the stoplight, or to go, "Woo, look at him, he's cool. He's old and bald and in a cool car." I mean, it does change in everyone. The first thing you do as you're getting control of your money is you take care of the now. The stuff that's right here, it's in your face. You got to take care of the bills. You got to get the wolf away from the door. We got to make sure the light bill's paid and there's food on the table. And take care of your own household first. You should do that first. And then you start, once you kind of get that going, you go, okay, I got a little margin. I think I got that. Then you can start to kind of take your eyes off yourself a little bit. And you start looking around and go, okay, I need to do some things in the community. I need to do some things for my family tree. I want to build enough wealth that I can be outrageously generous and really impact some things in the society that need help and not wait on the government to do it. I need to go do it. There's people hurting there. Government programs have never helped hurting people as well as nonprofits have. Nonprofits always do a better job. Ministries always do a better job. People always do a better job taking care of people than the government does. And more of us need to do that. And that's a real reason to build wealth. But when you're trying to pay your bills and you're broke when you're first starting, working your debt snowball, that's a very selfish endeavor. And it should be until you get the stuff cleared away. The trick is to clear it away so that there's margin, so you can start thinking about, well, we look over here and we see a need with an individual or with a thing that's happening in the marketplace, and we want to impact that. And you can, you can write a unbelievable check and do that, and it's pretty cool.